A big thank you to the Oceanside Theater Company, MadStrange, Members Only Car Club, for helping to produce this event. We also want to thank our vendors and artists and photographers, Edna, Elvis, Sexy Manteca, Rita. Make sure to support their tables after the event, and the Prebys Foundation for sponsoring this event. This event wouldn't be possible without the support of all the car clubs that are here today. We want to thank everyone who showed up to support. And last but not least, we are thankful to the local car club speakers, Robert, 6'4" Dippin', Ricardo, Mike, and Keido. So if you guys can please join us and have a seat.
I know some of the guys here recognize some of the people that are in the crowd, you know, that came down from San Diego. And I just want to give you guys recognition. If you guys want to stand up, at the Rabbit and the whole San Diego coalition, right? So just, you want to talk a little bit about Rabbit?
Yeah, I'd like to add a little bit of that, Rob. Rabbit, he's been around as long as I have, maybe even a little bit longer. He's also, I believe, retired from the city of San Diego. He was a mechanic there for the fire department. I also retired city of Oceanside. Juanita, if you don't know her, if she can stand up one more time. Jovita, excuse me. You might recognize her from almost every local info news channel. She's been very active in the lowrider community throughout the state and removing the ban of cruising. So she's a very important part of this lowrider from now all the way back to the future where I came from. So we want to thank you very much for the time and dedication that you've put into helping your husband and the rest of us lowriders throughout the state of California, and a lot of that will adapt throughout the whole United States of all these bans on cruising. So thank you again to Rabbit and his wife for putting the effort in that, okay? Took a lot of time.
Give him a round of applause.
Yeah, thank you.
So with that being said, let's get started. So what I would like to ask is if each one of you can introduce yourself, your name, car club, and also what's your favorite place to cruise, and what's your go-to song when you're cruising? So we can start with you.
Mike Orozco, I'm from Groupe Car Club, North County chapter. Guess my favorite song to cruise to would probably be Joystick.
Where's your favorite place to cruise?
Oh, the Strand, Oceanside.
Yeah, that's right.
Keith, I go by Keido, and born and raised right here, Oceanside, California. The favorite place to cruise throughout my days, and I went up and down California, is going to be Chicano Park and Highland. It was pretty much one of my favorites growing up in the late 70s and the 80s when it was super active, custom paint jobs, nice interiors, beautiful women would just pack the streets, and it was awesome. Brittonwood oldies, man. Anything in the oldies, Billy Stewart, Britton Woods, that's the cruising music. And then once again, as the 70s progressed to the 80s, who was it? The ZAPP, Zap, and More Bounce. When that came out, it just broke all charts, and lowriders even just took off more. The bouncing got higher, and you know, the adrenaline just kept boosting up with the lowriders. So Zap and Roger definitely took over the lowrider movement with More Bounce.
Thank you.
Ricardo, Zavala, Low for a Show.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Like to cruise the Strand, then listen to the Zap.
All right, well, everybody give him a ground. My name is Robert Morales. A lot of people don't even know that. Everybody knows me as 6'4" Dippin'. I'm from Members Only Car Club, and one of my favorite songs to cruise to is from Biggie Smalls, Juicy. I think my favorite place to cruise is actually the Coast Highway. Not specifically the Strand, just the Coast Highway. Yeah.
Rob, real quick, how'd you get the name 6'4" Dippin'? Because that's how everyone does know you.
It's an Instagram thing. And it's just, I was just looking for a name, and, it's related to my car, obviously. But, everywhere I go, a lot of people don't know my name. They just know, hey, there goes 6'4" Dippin'. So, it's, I'm thinking of changing my name back to 6'4" Dippin' instead of. But.
So I was, I think, like 9 or 10. We have family out in Pacoima in the Van Nuys area. And my cousins always had lowriders. And I think I was like 9 or 10. And we would go to my cousin's house, and he was always out front working on his car. At that time, it wasn't like what he has now. It was, it was just a car with hydraulics and maybe some Daytons on it. But man, I was in love with that car. And I remember he would take us through like the Paxton neighborhood of Pacoima, throw on the switches, and like I fell in love immediately. Can you guys take us back to the first time you fell in love with lowriding? Like, what was that moment like? How old were you? Where were you at?
I remember exactly when it was. It was 1978. Backyard of my house underneath an oak tree. Watched my brothers put hydraulics in a 62 Impala. Watched it go up, and I was done. That was it. Ever since then,
It was a family thing.
Yes, definitely a family thing. All my family's involved in the lowrider scene.
I could remember that very well myself. Once again, born and raised here in Oceanside. I had a couple buddies, and I was actually in the high riders. Right outside the base, a lot of the Marines had high riders and hot rods. And so I had a couple good friends, and one of them, Ruben Medina, legendary lowriders, and Nacho Camarena, and Moises Lucio. And they said, we're gonna ditch school, and we're gonna go to a big car show up in Los Angeles at the Coliseum. So it started on a Friday, and we ditched school, and not advising any of you younger guys to ditch school, but hey, it worked out for the better for me. So went into this Coliseum, and man, I'll tell you what, it was the Imperials and Lifestyle Car Club which just rocked my boat, man. Metal flake galore, custom interiors, and they didn't have Daytons back then. If they did, they were only for the hot rodders, big money. So mostly Kragers and Rocket Wheels, Supremes. But anyways, those paint jobs just blew my mind. And I'll tell you what, I made it a dedication to my mind. I'm gonna be just like that. I'm gonna have one of those cars. I came home and I had a 68 Ford. And you know what I did? Went to my brother's house, borrowed his torches, put my car right in the middle of the street where it was level, and torched those springs to get that thing as low to the ground as I could. And ever since then, it was low riding for me. It was beautiful.
How old were you when you?
I was actually a sophomore in high school, so yeah, probably 15, 16 years old.
When you started building your first lowrider?
When I actually got introduced to the low riding and came home and started to progress on a car that, I'll tell you what, when you're into low riding, you have to pick your crowd. You can fall into the gang style low riding, or you can fall into the guys who are doing it for the dedication of their car, their family, and the enjoyment. And it kind of took me on both roads as a youngster, being that the area that I lived in, And that car that was my first lowrider got me into a lot of trouble. It got me a lot of fun, and but it also got me into trouble to where I had to choose my path and finally decide to pick a new group of people to hang out with.
You said that you were raised in Oceanside. What part of Oceanside did you live?
Down in the back gate. It's between Mesa and what was called Arthur Street back then. So being that I was in the middle, I had people on both sides, and I kind of had to try to keep it cool. And I loved cruising everywhere and anywhere I could. So Chicano Park, Highland, Whittier Boulevard, the valley where you came from, San Fernando. Lowriders were big and hard there, different quality. And so I kind of brought a lot of that quality down here. And eventually I joined Lifestyle Car Club out of Los Angeles, just because I got so devoted into it. And something that, if any of you are building lowriders, you've probably heard this statement. One of them from the club was, Chrome bill before the phone bill, okay? So you had to define what was more important, the car club and building your car or leaving your family. It was that hard. And some of these clubs out there still have that motto, and others are more to having a car that is cruisable and that they can enjoy with their entire family and going to the picnics. So there's different clubs for different individuals.
Thank you.
So I started back in '84 when my older brother started building his '63. My first car was at 16 years old. I bought a '69 Impala. And then from there, just like driving, cruising around lowriders with my family and stuff. And my brothers, they were all in a different car club before until we started this new car club. But I started at 16, 15 years old when I started with my first cars.
I think for me, I kind of grew up, my dad having cars, so I started liking cars when I was really young. But as far as the low riding, my uncles were, I think it was in the, like 89, 90s. They were from Amigos down in San Diego, Amigos Car Club. And I remember the first ride I actually took with one of them, and it was for a funeral. And we're on the freeway, and he used to have a white Lincoln. And I remember when we were on the freeway, he started hitting the switches on the freeway. And from there on, I think from there, that's the first time I remember, like, okay, this is what I gotta do or I gotta get. And my first car was a '64 Impala. And I think I bought it when I was 14, 15 years old. And I mean, it took me, I think like everybody knows, man, I was 14, 15, I didn't even really have a job. But it took me quite a while to kind of get the thing up and running. But, that was me in high school driving around with, great quarter panels and stuff like that. But I think that's when it started, like when I was 15, so around there.
You guys all talk about, I didn't have my first car. I think my first car was like an Astro van. I was like 18 years old. With the tape deck, I had All Eyes on Me recorded, and I would just like flip it, and that's what I had. And it wasn't even mine. Like my parents, like it was a car that I got that from them. What kind of like dedication and discipline to be able to buy a car as a teenager and start building it? Like, how did that help you as far as like, staying out of trouble, but also give you a goal to work, right? Because if you want to build a car, like how was that? How did that shape your teenage years into like your young adult life?
Yeah, well, nobody was going to give you the money to build a car like that. In those days, people were worried about getting food on the table, putting a roof over your head, not a $500 steering wheel, instead of $1,000 rims. So you had to work for that. You had to sacrifice quite a bit, and at a young age, it's minimum wage. You had to learn how to budget yourself and put money away to get those rims, get that steering wheel, that interior, that paint, the hydraulics and all that stuff. You really had to sacrifice quite a bit to get to where you wanted to go, But if it was a dream, if it's something that you dreamt about and it encompassed, almost every waking moment, you did it. You found a way to do it.
That's good. Yeah, because I think a lot of times people don't, realize that like those cars out parked out in front, that is an investment.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah, it's an investment. They say lowriding is a cultural and artistic expression of everyone, and everyone has their own style. The way the car is designed reflects their owner's personality. What does your car say about who you are and what you want it to represent?
The way I build cars, I build a lot of clean cars. I don't do over the top like a lot of these guys do, which is fine. I like that. Mine are mostly, and it's always been just very nice paint jobs, just clean as I can get them, the style that I'm used to, the style that I like to represent. That was what I do. I'm never over the top. I'm just very clean, very nice street rides. They also do decent at shows. Yeah, that's the style that I encompass.
That first question again?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
What was that first question?
The first question was, you guys all mentioned, owning cars and getting into this as teenagers. How did that help, impact your teenage life as far as, like you mentioned a little bit, getting at having you stay away from trouble, but also like shape you, like having a goal and having to invest in it?
Okay, so yeah, like Mike said too, getting the job and how to build that lowrider. Well, yeah, getting multiple jobs, because if you want that level of creativity in that car, it's definitely going to take more money. Mike is more on the mild, clean side. I wanted something more exotic. I wanted something that would really shock people as they walk by and stop them. So custom paint job took a lot of money, but there was also a lot of hustling. I worked a lot. Whatever I could learn, I would do. I picked up a regular job. I did disc jockey on the weekends, at night, anything to make the money. And you barter, trade things to different guys, you know. Once again, don't follow my footsteps. I stole lawnmowers from the store I worked at and traded it for a set of wheels. There was no cameras back then, so it was easier to get without getting caught. Nowadays, there's too many cameras. So I did a little bit of everything to build my car. And don't let your parents know what you're doing either.
There was a lot of moving services that were mad at me.
Yeah, same. But anyways, motivation from other club members, and you know, also visiting shops, going to custom shops and seeing work in progress, welding, chop tops, suicide doors, French antennas. These are all custom things in some of the 70s and 80s. Not so much street cars nowadays, but going to the shops and seeing the car in the stage, because then you get an idea of when you're messing up a brand new car. Some people in the 70s and 80s bought brand new paper plated cars and took them out to get them painted. $1,700 got you a nice custom paint job. Nowadays, Rob knows, I think it's somewhere in the near of 10,000
Like 10
to
grand,
20,000.
10, 12 grand for just a normal paint job nowadays.
Yeah.
That's just basic.
So I picked up the talent of picking up a spray gun and learning how to do it myself, and pretty much screwing up a couple people's cars before I got it right. Because I thought it's a one-day project, but after you visit a couple shops and see something going back then, it takes time to get this work done. It goes in stages. But the finished product, color sand, buff, put those wheels on it, take off the masking tape, and then it's a different story. That's what opens everybody's eyes. So hard work, dedication, and you know what? Trade things if you can. Visit shops, get a job in a body shop. You're not going to learn to custom paint that a lot of these guys have. You know, he's had a custom paint for 30 plus years and is still holding up. So learn what you can, and you're going to save a lot of money building your car.
Yeah,
What does your car say about you?
Well, nowadays, I've kind of switched it, started a family, and so I couldn't keep up with my club standards, so I had to step down because you have to keep progressing to stay on top of the game. So I've kind of switched 64 Chevy Impala now, convertible, original, but with a couple twists, a lot of options and chrome plating, but basically kind of nice and substantial. I definitely want to build another car, but right now it's something that I got to send my kids to school first and make my choices. I'll build another car. I just retired once again, like I said, so now I have more time, and I have a couple things in mind, and it'll come back, but I'll still hang around with these guys and go to the shows and enjoy it like everybody else. We're all car guys and family members, and we want to get along. And with that cruising ban being lifted, it's just going to bring out the people again to motivate and keep this thing active so it goes down to our next generation, hopefully.
What were you going to say? Were you going to say something?
No, just like Keido was saying, that's how I learned. I learned how to do hydraulics, and I would just barter with that, and that helped me get certain stuff, you know. He used to come over to my shop that I had on Oceanside,
Yes, sir.
you know, did a lot of cars for Marines coming back from a desert storm. I did a lot of cars for them, and that's how I learned. I learned by trial and error and hanging out at shops and just watching and asking questions. You know, Red's Hydraulics, I hung out there a lot until they would get sick of me. But that's the way of doing it, like he was saying. You barter, you learn, and you hone your skill. You know, and that's how you kind of helps out.
Can I throw one more thing in there that Mike brought up regarding different people and bartering and members club right there. That's another guy of inspiration. A little bit younger, but he's coming up and he's in the lowrider era, in the lowrider community. Sometimes we don't like police. You know, they pull us over. We got illegal cars, too small of tires, hydraulics. If your attitude is a little bit different when you're getting pulled over, really these guys ain't that bad. They're no different than me and you. And Marco was former military. Thank you for your service. And he also serves in law enforcement now. So just because you're a cop, don't mean you're the bad guy. A lot of these guys behind the badge also drive a lowrider, okay? But they can't go out in front of it, okay? Respect everybody, no matter whose job they are. They got to bring money home to the table to build their cars, to their family. They might like lowriders too. The thing is, when you're building these cars, and in the video, I did a burnout in that video. I love stepping on the metal. I always did with my lowrider. The hopping, the drifting. We got to keep this cruising band going, so we got to also respect our community and know that our other club members want to cruise. So that's hard for us to do because we like hitting the switch. Yes. But there's a time and a place to do it. And I hope after all the hard work that the San Diego Council and Robin and his wife put forward to lift that cruising band, that a few of us don't ruin it for the rest of us. And I could be one of those guys too that could easily ruin it. A couple beers and doing something stupid could point a reflection of us ruining it for this cruising band. We want it to go on once again to the next generation.
Yeah, that's important. Keido? Yeah, car. How does your car reflect your personality?
My car is just simple. I don't like that many different patterns. I just like to have it original. A little bit of chrome here and there, but most likely just original and simple.
Hey, I think everybody knows my car and everybody's seen my car. My car is a little simple, but at the same time, it's got a little bit of twist. I definitely like to drive it like I stole it. You know what I mean? Like I'm out on the freeway and, you know, whoever I'm with, whether it's family or friends, you know, I don't have as many batteries as I used to, but, you know, I'm hitting the switches on the freeway and I'm dragging that ass on the freeway. And, you know, I mean, to this day, I remember the other day when we went cruising up in Santa Ana, one of my club members was with me and we were hopping on the freeway. I mean, it's not too much hopping, but, you know, we're hitting the switches. And he was holding my hand saying, he's like, Bobby, we don't got a roof in this motherfucker. We flip. He said, we're going to fly out. But, you know what I mean? I just like to enjoy my car. You know, like I tell everybody says, like, well, why do you let him drive it? Or why, you know, why do you like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. That's just the way I see it. You know what I mean? And I didn't build it. I mean, at first I built it to compete. When I built my car, you know, that was my thing. I wanted to go out there and I wanted to compete. And like Keido said, you know, everybody builds their cars for certain reasons. When I built my car, and you know, there was a lot of weekends where I worked weekends, or you know, I did what I had to do to put the money into the car. But when I was going to bring out the car, I wanted to compete. I know a lot of people say, you know, and I know you guys can all say this, you know, you get your respect in the streets. I get that part. You know, a lot of people, you know, there's different things. But I was going to go to compete, and I was competing in LA and Las Vegas, and that's what I wanted to do. So I put the money into a car, but now I drive the thing like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to sit in the garage. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to drive it, and I'm going to drag it all over the place. And that's just, you know, that's just me. That's who I am. So I like to enjoy my car, and that's who my car, you know, that's what my car is.
You've let Dub C drive your car, Little Rob drive your car, because it's been in a lot of music videos.
Yeah, it's been.
How does that, how is it like?
It's cool, man. I mean, you know, like I tell a lot of people, you know, like if it's there and I can use it, you know, I mean, I grew up listening to all these people, you know. To me, it's a kind of a cool thing to be like, hey, man, they want to use your car for a video. But that's cool. I mean, I get to meet some of these guys I grew up listening to. So I have no problem with that. I mean, I really enjoy that part. You know, I get to meet them and, you know, they get to drive the car and stuff like that. So it's cool, man. I really enjoy that.
That's dope. From your guys' perspective and knowledge, how has the lowriding community developed here in North County, and how has it grown or changed over the years?
It's grown quite a bit. The evolution of the lowriding here is awesome, man. You had a period in the 80s and early 90s where it was huge. Everything. It was mini trucks.
In North County
lowriders. North County, here in North County. There was a lot of car clubs that are no longer around, but it was big. Then it died off for a while. And then I'd say in the last 10 years at least, it's essentially gotten bigger and better, more understanding from local businesses and people and even law enforcement. I mean, I remember getting a 3-part ticket here in Oceanside. Now they just look and the officers even wave at you like, oh, give you a thumbs up. Oh, not a nice car, you know, or where'd you get it painted? They'll ask questions. Back then, no, it wasn't like that, you know? But the evolution is awesome, man. It just feels like it's less stressful. You don't have to worry about, like Keido mentioned it, it kind of blurred between gangs and lowriders. And it was, you know, like it could be the wrong guy out at the wrong time, mistake you for somebody because you're in a lowrider and then, you know, mess up your car or you. But now it's like you really don't worry too much about that. You can go and cruise around and have a good time, take your family with you, and stop and get something to eat before you'd have to stop and look around. Now you don't have to do that, you know? And the evolution and the progression of this lowriding scene here in the North County, Oceanside, Escondido, and all that stuff has been a turn for the better instead of the worse. It's a lot more camaraderie now than there was before. So it's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
I agree with Mike, and I have to give props to some of these younger guys. Rob, you make a big impact out there in putting your car in these videos, letting them drive it. Ricardo's been around for a long time as well. A lot of you guys out there sitting in the crowd, I know your cars. I go to these shows and I like them. If you're a guest here and you go to the shows, you might not like a car, keep it to yourself. You're not the builder. That guy put a lot of money into it. It's his choice if he wants to have radials and we want to have 520s. It's everybody's opinion. I love all cars. You know, you can't just bust out with the best car right off the bat. But these younger generations, man, I'm walking around the park sometimes, so I'm Audi busting out with a town car, lifted all the way around, clean pearl paint job. Some of his other club members, metal flake, nice interiors, molding. They're finding some good quality bodymen and painters, and they're really keeping up the notch. They picked up Oceanside and put us on the map. I remember it was hard, and I was one of the few. But they've really put us on the map now, and Rob blowing us up around the world with his car in the videos. Thanks, man. You have a lot of nice detail in your car. Compliment your friends, man. And they all got different, you know, opinions of what they want to build. These guys with the 50 Chevys. You know, do you know how much time and money just to get it back to the way General Motors wanted that thing to be? It was a rust bucket when they picked it up. A lot of money and time just to get it back to the way the dealership wanted it to be, and then they throw their own touches on it.
Accessories.
So much props, you guys. Keep it up, man. Keep us on the map. California is where it's at, man.
That's right.
I just want to touch on really quick on what Mike and Keido said. As far as North County, like I said, I mean, I came in the scene a lot later than these guys did here in North County, but I feel that, like he said, like, I mean, there was a point, especially when COVID came around, we really got united as far as we got together, all the car clubs in North County, we got together and, you know, we said, hey, man, this is what's going on. Let's all get together and let's start doing these cruises and let's start doing these events here in Oceanside or try to spread them out where we could. I think every club in North County come out, and I think we had some of the biggest events here in Oceanside that Oceanside has ever seen. Like I said, I mean, one of the coolest stories I have from one of the nights that we had is there was a guy there, you know, I was walking up and down trying to patrol, you know, the streets, and he was crying. And I asked him, I was like, if he was okay. And he was telling me that he was getting shipped, I think he was getting shipped overseas or getting shipped somewhere, but it was probably he said this was the craziest and the best thing that he's ever seen in his life. The 101 was completely packed. I mean, I don't know from how many blocks or whatever, but I mean, some of you guys that are in the crowd were here, and he was crying because he said this is probably the best thing that he's ever seen in his life, and he was getting shipped out, but he was happy that he was there that night, and just going back to like saying, as far as, like what we're doing and stuff like that, we're all, I think we all put a little piece of the pie to make this happen. And some of the guys that are always out there cruising, like they question like, hey man, well, why are you guys doing this? Or why are you guys doing that? I think, they don't get that we got to do things behind closed doors or, stuff like this to kind of, be able to get out there and cruise and stuff like that. And that's what some of the younger guys still don't understand. And, I really want to applaud everybody, that has put in their part to make this happen, because, everybody has to put in a little bit to make things work. And I think when we do events in Oceanside, where there's Vista, stuff like that, if everybody puts in a part, man, it's crazy. I know the guys from San Diego that are here. I know Majestics, which is a big car club. They're worldwide. One year they came up to one of the cruises that they had, and one thing that they asked me was, they're like, "Hey Rob, like, how do you guys make this happen?" And I asked him, I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "Do you know how many neighborhoods there is out here, and there's not one fight going on?" And I just told him, I was like, "Look, man," I was like, "we all get together, we all put our piece of the pie in it, and then, this is how it works." And yeah, and it was really breathtaking, honestly. I mean, as corny as it sounds, but it was. And to this day, everybody says, "Hey man, like, when are we gonna do those cruises again, or when are we gonna bring it back?" And to be honest with you, like, I was just talking to one of the club members out here, Juan from City Life out there, and I think, this summer we need to definitely bring it back, and I think we're gonna really blow the roof off the top this year for sure. So, but yeah, man, just like I said, just want to talk about that. Man, everybody just has to put the piece of it, and sky's the limit.
Keido, you want to add to that? As far as, have you seen any, how has it changed and grown here in North County over the years?
Like I said, it's grown quite a bit, I kind of stepped aside, like I said, when I started a family and lost some family members, but coming back outdoors, and that cruise on Coast Highway, I was there. And I've been invited numerous times by Members Car Club to come out and check out these events, and like today, I was iffy. I don't want to go, man. No one's going to be there. Well, when I went to that Coast Highway one Rob was talking about, man, I was right back in the 70s, man.
There's a lot of
It was off the hook. I believe Casper was there. You were with your buddy with the black 63 rag that night right here on Coast Highway. It was a blast from the past right here, right now. It was awesome. I would never have thought Oceanside was going to have that much cruising. There were car club plaques from Orange County, San Diego, TJ. It was off the hook. Yeah. It was blast. And you know what? Like he said, in the 80s, you hit the switch on the wrong club member. Once again, going back to your cousin Amigos, I was chased down by them. I was in a different city, and I hit the switch. I thought I was just having fun. I came from out of town. But I disrespected one of the guys because it seemed like my car might have got a little bit higher. I didn't want to disrespect him. I just wanted to show what I had. And I had to really explain myself save myself from getting my head smashed in. But it's came a long way, and like Rob said, no fights. And once again, the girls were there. The clothing was a lot different. Time, man, I was using my camera phone and blasting up pictures and posting them because we didn't have the social media back then. It was all just going back to your friends later and telling them what happened, how many shootings were there. My brother was a cop. So what happened tonight, man? How many people got shot tonight? It was always that story. This was awesome. I had a great time, and I didn't see any problems. I even seen the fire truck cruising down, and he started slamming on his brakes, so it looked like it was bouncing.
RTD did the same thing.
And then in Fallbrook, at this guy's cruise, the city bus came out because they had the disabled function, and he stopped right in the middle of the street and started going up and down, and man, the crowd just went freaking wild. So it's changed a
I
lot.
think that's what makes North County, unique. Ricardo, like, what do you think makes North County unique compared to other areas as far as the lowriding community?
No, it's just like they said, it's just getting everybody together. I mean, back in the day, like they're saying, is you get chased from different cities, but now, you get to go anywhere you want to go without looking through your back. I mean, I went to a wedding, and we're in Mexicali with my brothers, and one of my brothers, he was over there, and he goes, "What's going on here?" Because, like, what do you mean? Well, you got a bunch of different cities here in the same crowd.
Yeah, I was there.
And I go, "What do you mean? It's not like that anymore. It's different." He goes, "Well, you could never do it back in the day." I go, "Yeah, it's different though." Because he was locked up for a while, and he got deported, and now, you have different cities in the same hall. You couldn't do that anymore, but now you could go anywhere you want to go without looking back. I mean, my son was one time driving his Regal, and I told him, "Dude, you don't have a plaque on your car. You can't be going to towns. Wait until you get a plaque because you don't know where you're from. And I mean, you got to watch out where you're going. You just can't go wherever you want to go." So he kind of like, "Okay, I'm going home." But luckily now, now you can go cruise around wherever you want to go. I mean, I drive my car wherever I go. The only time I travel my car is when I go out of city, which is Vegas, Arizona. That's the only time I trail it. But otherwise, I'll drive my car. And that's what it's for, just to drive it.
Rob, what do you think makes us different, North County, different from other areas?
I really, like I said, I really think that we're really united. I think that's the biggest difference is, especially Oceanside, from Oceanside to Escondido, every city from here, there, even Fallbrook and, all the cities. I think we're really united. Like, you could really throw us all in one group, and one room, and we can all hang out, talk about whatever, we'll start planning the next event. I know you go to different cities, and it's not the same, I know, LA's obviously not the same, and I really think that that's what makes us different. Not to, I'm not to throw any shade, San Diego, you guys are here, or LA, but at one point, nobody claimed us. Nobody, even now, San Diego doesn't claim us, LA doesn't claim us. And, because there was a thing where we were always trying to go to LA for a cruise, or we would want to go down San Diego for a cruise, but we don't need to go anywhere for our cruises. We can have our own cruises and people come to us. And that's the thing where, we have our little thing here. We have our little niche here, and it's nice, and people are starting to see that, and people are starting to flock to us, So, and I think and the biggest thing is, especially our car club. Our car club is very family oriented, and I want to say about 90% of the car clubs here in North County are. Everywhere you go, everywhere you turn, you see somebody with their kids or their family, hanging out the back of the car. So I think that's also a big thing here in North County, and I think it's everywhere. But, I think the main focus here in North County is we really are just united. I know a couple years back then, there was beef with certain clubs and stuff like that. And I know when COVID hit, when we started gathering together, we don't have a title for what we do or when we get together. I think that we've come to kind of understand that as soon as there's titles and stuff like that, there starts to be issues. You start collecting money, there starts to be issues. So what we have now where we all get together, I don't know how many, I think that one time there was maybe 20 something clubs that we got together, and I told everybody, if anybody has a problem with each other, you guys, this is where you guys bring it up. If you guys have a problem with my fat ass, tell me right now, and but don't talk about me when I leave. We're all grown men. We'll talk about it here, and we'll sort it out here. But I think, like I said, that's what it is. It's just being upfront and being clear with everybody. And I think that's what we have here in North County right now is we're all upfront and we're clear with everybody. And, and we're just united. It really is just that's what it is.
Everybody's got a representative, from the club, our presidents. And they all get along real good with all the other presidents, and that dialogue shows. It shows in the way everybody gets along and the way these events get brought together, like the cruises and all that stuff. Everybody's already on the same page. We don't do any of that coalition or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with that, but the way we figured it out, the way we can do it here in the North County, is that way, just by talking and everybody have somebody to represent their club or their area. And it's been working out for us ever since.
Yeah, we don't have any titles. Like I said, I usually, like me and Saul from Groupe, we all get on the phone and we, hit up, different car club members and, hey, we have a meeting so-and-so. But, I've told them at one point, I said, anybody else can take the lead. I'm just taking the lead, I guess, because I'm the one with the big mouth. But I told them, hey, anybody else is welcome to take the lead. So, but I mean, and, a lot of guys said, like, why change, what it works, what works. So we're just, that's what works right now. And that's how things are going right now. So, why fix something that's not broken?
And I see you guys do a lot of things also for the community as well. During the holidays, you guys are doing fundraisers for nonprofit organizations or helping families in need. Why do you guys prioritize that? Why is that so important to the car clubs?
I think in a way we're kind of like a voice. Sometimes we, like we see it. Some of us grew up in that. And I think that's kind of the main thing is a lot of people grew up, in some broken homes or the neighborhoods. And, we all know what it feels like to kind of be like that. So, when we see the opportunity, like, hey man, like this year it was kind of a late thing, but I know we gave out turkeys, to random families. I know Groupe does a toy drive, Ricardo and them do the toy drive as well. So I just think it's wherever we feel that hey, this is a good time we can do it because we have the support. From the clubs, and then a lot of people follow the clubs, and and that's how you get the numbers.
Yeah. So. A blind eye doesn't make it go away. Turning your back doesn't make it go away. Doing something about it, even how minuscule it might be, will help it go away. Everybody's been somewhere, and we've been blessed to be able to do this as a hobby, as a lifestyle. So we like to spread it out, spread our joy out by doing toy drives, doing food drives. Fundraisers for different stuff. It's you give back to the community and it reflects on you, and it reflects on the people around you, makes everybody feel better, and it gives a whole different attitude to stuff. You're not going to be as easy to get upset about stuff or anything like that. You have more of an understanding when you're able to help the community.
Going back to like that day when we had that cruise, that was around COVID, which was a big one. I think every shop that was open around that time either sold out or had to close early because everybody sold out. You know what I mean? And that was kind of one of the main goals was to, let's bring some business to, the people here because everybody was struggling around that time. So, but yeah, man, like I said, I mean, we just, we're a voice, sometimes, try to help out who we can, who we see. Sometimes, we can't because there's always that red tape or something, you know what I mean? And obviously there's, rules and stuff like that with the city. We try to do stuff, for the city and sometimes we can't. There's always red tape there. So hopefully, there's, some people that are here kind of open up their eyes and kind of see, hey man, we're just out here trying to, have a good time and help out as much as we can.
I think there was, over the years been a lot of stereotypes and misconceptions about the lowrider community and the clubs and everything that you guys do for the community, counters that, and it shows that's not the case. In the 80s, they put the car ban or the cruising ban, and so that ban was just recently lifted. Cruising is now legal again in the state of California. What does that mean to the car clubs? But also, what are still some of the restrictions that people probably should know about? Because the cruise ban, the ban has allowed for cruise to be possible, but there's still certain traffic violations that law enforcement will still cite you for, right? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, traffic violations are traffic violation, whether it's cruising or no cruising. Everybody that has a lowrider should know that. If you're hopping in the middle of the street and a cop sees you, you're gonna get pulled over, or if you're three-wheeling. I think a lot of people maybe misunderstand that. Cruising is cruising. Cruising, I think lifting the ban is you can cruise there and back. Now before, I think you could only cruise, maybe one way and that was it? Am I correct? 3 times and that was it? So now, now you can, at least get back to where you're going. If you go 1, 2, 3, you know what I mean? But, but a lot of people, they still got to understand that just because, and I see it now up in LA and everybody's like, oh, they're going to take the ban away. So just because they lift the ban, people still think that, people still go out there and act a fool. You know what I'm saying? Just because they lift the ban doesn't mean that you can go out there and, treat, the streets like a trash can. Because I feel, even here in North County, even if it's not a cruise, I mean, we get everything taken away because we leave trash and, and people urinating all over the place. And that has nothing to do with the cruising. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, we have to do our part, whether, like I said, whether it's a park or if it's cruising. I still feel like we still need to do our part. And for the most part, I feel like when, club president, stuff like that, we patrol our clubs and stuff like that. But it's not always the clubs. It's always the people that come out to party.
Spectators.
Yeah, they're the, you know what I mean? And not to point any fingers or stuff like that, but I mean, it happens anywhere, you know what I mean? I mean, it could happen at, the farmer's market, I mean, anything happens like that. But they're going to be quick to point at us because, because it's us. But yeah, I mean, a traffic violation is a traffic violation. They just let you go back to where you came from, like I said.
Here in North County and here in Oceanside on Coast Highway, as we talked about, a lot of you guys have organized cruises. Can you talk about some of the challenges you've encountered with the cities trying to organize these events? Because I know there's cruises in Escondido and Vista and here in Oceanside. What are some of the challenges that you guys have had?
You've had more experience with that?
Well, one of the cruises that we had, which was one of we had a couple of them, but one of the big ones that we had here in Oceanside, try to work with the OPD and the city, and up until 3 days, everything was good to go. As far as the cruise, I know my club and some of the clubs we coordinated. We had trash cans out. We had everything ready to go. We had bathrooms, we had dumpsters and stuff like that ready to go. For whatever. And I know OPD, they were on board. I was talking directly, to a couple of the guys, and then the night of the cruise. I think they brought even the retired cops out to patrol the streets. It was pretty bad. I mean, they had, motorcycle cops hiding in every corner. I think they were giving tickets to even kids on bikes because they had, because they had different colored lights and stuff like that. And one of them approached me and he said, you know what, whoever organized this event didn't organize it right. And he was asking me, I was asking him, what are we doing wrong? We have permission from every permission from every business to be on their property. Parking on the street is not illegal. And he was just saying we didn't have the right, the right permitting. And I told him we didn't need permits for that. And he asked me, he's like, he was telling me that, who organized. I told him I was one of the guys who organized this. And he kind of just put his helmet on and he left. So I think that at that time, I think they were just, they were doing their thing, and if you didn't know how to defend yourself, you were going to get yourself in trouble. But in reality, I mean, we weren't doing anything wrong. We like I said, we had it all set up. When we get together, we had it set up where we had trash cans. We have certain people, kind of, patrolling their own sections, stuff like that. And they just, at first they were saying, yeah, but at the end of the day, they said that nope, they weren't on board after the event. Because there was two ladies from the district there that kind of helped me out. I think one of them's here. Her name's Azalea. She owns a flower shop, and the other one, she owns another shop there. Marissa is her name. We got a nasty email from I don't know if it was I think it was from the chief of police or one of them, saying that if something like this were to happen again, that that I was going to see, I could go to jail for, I forget what it was. It was something like, we were lawful, and, what everything that we did was unacceptable. It was wrong. Nobody, it was just, if you read the email, it was just him being a bully, basically saying everything we did was trash. And nothing was, right or whatever. And if you look at this email and you look at the event, it's just night and day. So, yeah, so after that, I was like, man, well, shit. If we do this again, I'm going to jail, So kind of took a step back a little bit. But, yeah, I don't think we've actually done a big cruise ever since then,
So I think moving forward, when the next cruise comes, one of the things that the community and we can do too, leading up to, is just spread the word, making sure that we're doing everything we can to also, be organized and clean up after the event and help the car clubs for it. And thank you guys for putting this event, the cruises for us. That's the least that we can do, is making sure us as the community are there cleaning up and doing everything to make sure that it's an organized event.
The best thing you can do, what would help out the most is write your local government. Write a letter, you know, and they like to listen to the constituents because that's the vote. You know, that's who's going to be voting, you know. You write them, you let them know, you let them know your concerns and approval of stuff, and that really helps out.
For sure. Well, thank you guys. Can we give a round of applause to our speakers?